Welcome back to the ESEA MDL. We're going into our second and final map of today. It's going to be Endpoint facing off against PACT. PACT, obviously one of the teams who are right at the top of the board in MDL at the moment. I think a bit of a surprise addition to the top scorers, especially with some of the teams within Mountain Dew League. But they're facing off against the Pride of Britain and a Swede and a Dutchman. But let's ignore that. The Pride of Britain. Team Endpoint, already crucial, is going to be going down. So a decent start for the T side, already opening things up on Inferno. Thomas looking to try and re-aggress and will take down Maniz. And this push looking to continue in this direction. Still 3 players here and a little bit of a bait and switch. I don't even know if they'll expect the second, but Robin has been spotted. Nice shot. He actually gets 2. A bit of a surprise, to be honest, from such a tough position. And now the rotation is going to start coming back towards Mighty Max. He spotted both players. In fact, I think he tagged both players with 1 bullet. And actually going to utilize this smoke to try and deny them any presence onto this site. Still going to be tough to hold on here.
Yeah, I think he's not expecting this push through the smoke. There it is, right? The bait and switch of their own on the PACT side of things there. They are both quite low. It's definitely spammable for Thomas, I suppose, but it's going to be really tough for him. He's got very little information to work with, ultimately, and they are set up perfectly to just get the trade nice and quick, unless he does that. However, Lunatic is indeed prepared for it, takes him down. Pretty close in the end, but unfortunately not quite able to get it. I think Max had to find a frag before he went down. But yeah, I think kind of an interesting matchup in a lot of ways here. PACT looking pretty good within the space of MDL. And Endpoint have been playing in this Home Sweet Home Cup that's been going on for quite a while. You know, many iterations of, and they're involved most weeks. And really kind of improving week on week on week. They keep making it to playoffs. Unfortunately, keep getting drawn against Complexity, which is not a fun time. But definitely have been looking good. Crucial, especially, I think, is really one to watch on this Endpoint team.
Well, it's going to be an interesting battle of the AWPers, that for sure. Although, there's definitely opportunities to negate it when it comes to the T side. I'll see if Maniz is going to be willing to take that battle already. Surreal is going to open up. In fact, a couple of kills coming off the back of the Mag 7. Thomas now catches the players as they transition into pit. And it leaves Darku left 1v4. Sure, he's got the AK, but he won't keep it for much longer. Great round from Surreal and Thomas. The 1-2 punch to take down this PACT size. And, well, ultimately, they've won themselves the Force Buy, but I think you can almost bet there's going to be another one coming up in response from the polls.
Yeah, definitely got to be using a lot more utility there, I think, PACT. Just 2 players peeking out middle, and then it all kind of fell apart. They lost that first player, and I think it was just an entire round of trying to compensate, trying to, you know, pick up the pieces while they're falling down the stairs kind of thing. It was an absolute mess, ultimately, but that's a good way to start this one off. Darku with a clean headshot onto Mighty Max. So, might just be able to give Endpoint a taste of their own medicine with the Force Buy if it continues like that. Surreal's got to be very careful here. There's 2 players waiting for him to push in, but he's just going to play it kind of safe. Going to get caught on the back end. Oh, Sobol with a clean 1D. Gets a second as well. Endpoint, what has happened here? Robin the only one left on the A site, and he will only find the single frag. Thomas surely got to look to save. Oh, goodness gracious. What a messy start.
Yeah, the Force Buy wars, and, well, Thomas is going to be met by Maniz with the M4. So 2-1. The polls break back, and no doubt we're going to see a Force Buy once again in return. Endpoint not wanting to be at the wrong end of this battle of the Force Buys. Crucial gaining a FAMAS. Still a decent amount of utility missing for the CT side. No incendiaries, unfortunately, but they do have smoke, so can at least deny the timing of the push on the B site. Of course, for the Ts, the buys are only going to get stronger. Ability to get the bomb down will boost their financial situation, and just the buys being cheaper in general will always help them out. Well, they are going to look to try and put the pressure onto this B side, at least initially. It seems like maybe a bit of an elaborate ruse as they throw out all of those grenades, bait down the first of many smokes. I like this. It looks like the CTs might actually do a little switcheroo. Try and keep the smokes permanently down on the B site by rotating an extra player with a smoke every single time and not really losing much in terms of the A site defense.
Out towards B, PACT will go. Utility over the top. Not quite committing to it. They've used a fair amount there to just get thwarted by a single smoke. Well, they still have a fair amount available, right? The 4 smokes left, I think, is more than enough for the A site. The 1 flash does maybe worry me, but it's worked here. They've drawn the rotation across from the A site. They have a very slim window to work with here. But with the smokes coming through, it's going to keep Crucial out a little while longer. So only the 2 players to be dealing with the hit onto the site. Mighty Max does get 1, but he is very quickly dealt with. And there it is, Crucial. He pushes through the smoke and sure finds a frag. But again, Endpoint are playing pickup and playing on the back foot. Robin and Thomas just going to save into the next round. So it looks like PACT have found a bit of stability here. Managed to string a few together cleanly as well in this round. And the 4 spy wars, as you call them, might just be over.
Yeah, they should be. Not enough damage done to the T-side economy to warrant doubling down in this situation. And that's always the unfortunate factor for CT sides especially. Like, if you take the risk on the T side, I can understand it. You're normally expecting your CT side to be better anyway, like, especially if you're looking at a map like Nuke or a map where it's tougher to get those T side rounds. Train's another good example, even Inferno at times. You could take that risk to try and get an extra round early and damage the economy, because that's going to be the best way for you to put up a big T side. And ultimately, as long as you're getting 5-6 rounds, you're still fairly happy anyway. You can make it work. On the CT side, however, your purchases are now going to be weaker for quite a while. Like, you're going to have issues getting all the extra utility if Crucial wants an AWP, which I almost guarantee he does. That it's going to take a bit of time for him to make sure that comes into play, or with armor or with utility. And it basically gives a chance now for PACT to not even just get like a 4-1, 5-1 start, which is almost guaranteed. They could be up to the likes of 7 off the back of this before we see what I would call a full buy for Endpoint. So there's always thoughts in the back of my head of whether or not teams should give up this battle a little bit earlier. But I guess when you win it once, there's always going to be that thing of like, okay, well, we can definitely now do it again. We've got some extra money this time. Why wouldn't it work a second time?
Definitely is a case to be made. I think it's kind of a weird situation, especially early on in a game. Bit more room to work with, I guess. This could be deadly here, though. They've brought the 5th man across as well. The M4 in pit, playing in and around the headshot angles. Robin does need to be careful. He's kind of baiting them in towards him. He does go down without finding any frags. Meanwhile, Mighty Max on the back end almost picks up 2 there, actually, but not quite able to do so. It looks like they have indeed weathered the storm, taking it nice and slow, nice and controlled. Sobol with the final 2 frags coming in. They had also rotated the bomb across once they realized it was a bit of a stack. So PACT prepared for every situation. And they managed to get the 4th on the board. Pretty good stuff so far from them, and indeed really finding some stability here.
Yeah, the only thing that grinds my gears just a little bit is if they wait maybe a second, they know that that site is stacked before they walk in. So it was still very good. They cleared it up. It doesn't really matter in the grand scale of things, but they had a player basically on the B side just clearing out positions, and they still ran into the A side. So a bit of a risk, not necessary, but I guess they managed to weather the storm. But this is what I'm talking about. So this is what I would consider the first quote-unquote buy for Endpoint, where they're 4-1 down, and they don't have any incendiaries. Most of them don't have head armor, not really a big deal. There's no AWP. Not everybody even has what I would call a primary rifle. So if they lose this round, we're looking at 5-1, then an eco, 6-1, and then, well, okay, then you're looking at your first proper buy round within the half. It's not what you want to see, especially on the CT side of this map. So you have to hope, if you're an Endpoint fan, which I'm sure anybody from the same region as I, or you, will be, you got to be hoping that they manage to make this one work, and it's not going to be easy. especially now that they've got a 3-man stack on the wrong side. Sobel, okay. It's a little bit lucky, but I'll hand it to you. You get the kill nonetheless, and, well, CT side just going to have to save. And, again, if they juggle weapons over in the next round, it's still going to be that buy that has pieces missing. So I almost hope they just play with the 3 weapons, maybe a few upgraded pistols.
I like the idea in this round as well. It's just a bit unlucky, unfortunately. In a few different ways. So, well, to be fair to him, it's a bit cheeky in this round, but and it is early on, but he's on 154 ADR, so he's having a hell of a time so far in this game. Which is kind of worrying, I suppose, with it being early on. If it continues, he could be a very scary member of the PACT side and really just take control of this T side. Endpoint, though, not so bothered about the individuals. The team effort is what is getting the best of them, honestly. They're really down and out. It did look like they were going to find themselves an early footing, got that reverse round, so to speak, but just not able to really actualize it into anything, and they've been on the back foot ever since. So it's scary times early on. They will, like you say, scrape together a buy here into this round, but with the 2 FAMASs, the scout particularly does limit their options somewhat. But a great deal of utility deep into Banana, playing a bit more aggressive up on A as well with the 2 over Archers. Definitely like to see that, because I think it's kind of the issue. I get your idea of the B stack and go for it, commit to it, but they needed a bit of a better crossfire on A. Perhaps it just wasn't strong enough, or maybe play up a bit more aggressively on A to begin with, and then drop back if no presence came your way. So things to learn from for sure. Either way, bursting out mid here, gonna get that brackets control, smoking a flash. There was a boost just on the corner of Long, but nothing coming for Crucial and Surreal in the end, the dynamic duo.
Luckily this time, although the weaponry is not ideal, they have had a mountain of utility to delay PACT a little bit more in the early stages of the round. Still with a couple of incendiaries, and more importantly, Thomas with a singular smoke. If this goes down at the right time, it could be enough. In fact, he's actually going to use it just to, what seems to be, create maybe a little bit of a one-way just underneath. I like that from Thomas. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem to matter, but Mighty Max, he's managed to line up 2. This is the best opportunity they've had in a long time, but Crucial, he runs around the corner reloading, not prepared for such an aggressive position from Lunatic. Now left into a 2v2 HP advantage, a kit available, an incendiary to potentially clear out Dark, but for now at least, there isn't anybody in that position. They're both facing versus this CT side, and while after a long hiatus from the board, plenty of buys that have not been too prolific, it is finally going to be a round onto the board for Endpoint once again. A 5-2 scoreline, even still though, and it's worrying, at least from my perspective. They'll get a purchase here, but we're still in round, what, 8 now? And we haven't seen a full buy. It's not happened yet. We're getting closer, Scrib. We're getting much, much closer. But it really shows how important all the utility is for the CT side, that most of the time we're seeing a rifle just not come into play, well, for Surreal pretty much every single time.
He's been a bit more of a sacrificial player. Oh, Mighty Max is going to eat the entirety of that nade, pretty much. That's a bit of a shame. I think he was hoping to do exactly that to the T side. Nice little bait and switch coming in, though, in the apartments. Nice to see. Something a bit different. Mighty Max also chiming in. Thomas still stuck around over on B. Needs to be careful not to go down too easily. Sure, you've got a solid advantage, but don't want to give them the sight and another kill to work with. So indeed able to back away. 4 versus 2. Goofy pretty low. Bomb has gone down. Sure. Okay, that looked a little dangerous for just a second. Goofy does get 1, but the spray down does not quite connect. However, it's all going to be onto Manise. Through the smoke, manages to tag up Robin. Almost actually going 2 for 1 there. Inches away. Nice shot onto Thomas. This is looking dangerous. They're going to molly him out of position, make it awkward for him, and he does get a second. If he had maybe just a little more time to work with, Because he wasn't missing shots. It was the fire that took him down, but he definitely was not losing those 1v1 battles.
Yeah, that was way too close for comfort, and ultimately very, very impressive from Maniz, but we're starting to see some life out of the side of Endpoint. A few players stepping up. I think Mighty Max has done a good job of at least slowing and delaying the pushes that are coming in onto the B side. The worry, though, is with the bomb plant still coming in, the Ts, and not really having any weaknesses to their purchases. They're still going to have rifles on every single player, and they're still having to be risks taken by Endpoint in this round. It's looking like they might go for a bit more of a challenge onto Banana. They've got a flash being set up by the looks of it from Robin, who's just going to give them that presence. And in a round where you have 2 SMGs, getting into deep Banana control is so valuable for your side. You can basically play as if you don't really have a weakness within your squad. The only issue is how much information has been given over. And it seems like there's a very good idea for the T side. There was at least an initial push in that direction. They are going to be forced into this A site now with no Banana control. However, that may not be too much of an issue for them. Their entry frags on this side have been very good. However, Crucial now has his weapon of choice, that AWP, and it's going to open things up.
Oh, Robin needed to win that fight. The important stuff. Maybe gets a little overzealous with the second face, however. Meanwhile, Sobol's over on A, in and around the smoke. Thomas going to get taken down as well in midair. Sobol is on a roll right now, all on his lonesome. Gets to, opens the round right up, and I think Crucial wants nothing to do with this. Oh, that is a tough time for Endpoint. It was a pretty good chance for them, an opening pick, and Robin, you know, finding a quick trade. I think if they'd have just kept that alive. I suppose it's kind of difficult, though. You can't really tell because they were nowhere near the Sobol action, so to speak, and he just pulls off an individual play. Still could have been difficult in the 3-on-2 situation, but all the same. Just not able to get a solid foothold here, I don't think.
Sobol so far has been just massively impressive on those entry frags. I think it's a tough thing to achieve, especially on a map like Inferno, where a lot of the angles like heavily favor the CT side, like in the positions that they can take. But he's been doing a very good job of it, pre-firing angles, taking fights that I guess he shouldn't really be winning, but I'm sure his squad are not going to be complaining about it too much. They're now 6-3 up. Again, no real economy has ever been built up for Endpoint throughout this match. I still don't think I've seen a round where every single one of their players has a rifle, which is insane. Like we're in going into round 10, and it's still not going to happen. So the only real hope for them here is that they manage to basically do a bit of damage. Crucial saves his AWP, and then they can come up with something into round 11.
Bit of a slower approach here from PACT. This is the nature of Inferno from time to time, particularly when the CTs have not got much to fight back with. I think the T side like to just be sure of themselves. Double nade going in. Mighty Max once again going to be on the end of that. Not been having a good time with those early nades. Does survive, but cost of a large chunk of HP. Nice little contact play coming in from Crucial, meanwhile. Gets a drop on Lunatic. Immediately PACT are going to respond by saying, okay, there's the AWP. Let's go where it isn't. Going to move across to the A side of things. Still got to be careful. There's a couple deagles to contend with over on the A site. A lot of utility being expended as well, so quick rotations coming in from the B side of things, and Surreal doing an awful lot of damage, and there's Robin hidden away. Surreal and Robin both chiming in with kills. Thomas coming in with the USP, and Crucial to finish proceedings. The pure manpower from Endpoint getting the best of PACT in that round. I talked about them moving slowly, perhaps a little too slowly in places, and it buys a lot of time for the rotations there.
Yeah, I think just a good job from the players holding with pistols. And oh yeah, there we go. Round 11 is the first time we see Endpoint actually with a 4-buy. So I'm happy to see it. Hopefully this will be a bit of a turning point for them, as they are going to be looking to at least win the half. Lots of utility available to them as well, and some of it just being expended early as the rotating player is now going to fall back. Now in the previous rounds, they've managed to actually dominate Banana at least a couple of times, but they've got to be careful here because Darku is still trying to battle for this. I don't think they've realized his cross, and this has to be a trade. It will be, but there's Lunatic to capitalize. The aggression from Endpoint has been punished, and there has to be a fast rotation from Robin just to try and deny them on the cross. The spam through does at least a little bit of damage, and he's going to try and dunk the nade over, but fight from Lunatic. That's a ridiculous shot to hit, and as said, it looks like they are just dominating in these individual duels at the moment. A 7th round almost guaranteed as the remaining CT players have to try and save their weaponry. While financially, their position's going to be a bit of an awkward one now.
Really, really tough for Endpoint at the moment. They seem to, get a foot in the door, but just kind of like an inch. They're really not getting any solid control at all. Constantly playing PACT's game, constantly seem to be on the back foot. Oh no, Sobol. Okay. Doesn't embarrass him. Takes him down without him knowing exactly what's going to hit him, but it's all good. It's all good. No knife. I saw the knife kill. In my mind's eye, not going to be the case. However, it really does hurt the CT side here. As you can see, Surreal can buy up. That could have been someone else's M4. But unfortunately not the case. So they have to string together a buy here with Max on nothing but a P250. It's really not ideal. So in theory, PACT should be able to squeeze this one out. But the way that this game has been going doesn't seem that simple. The weaker buys are actually a little more effective from Endpoint, it seems, when they can play that looser style. Oh, that's a beautiful Molotov. That's a great Molotov coming in. And learning their lessons actually on the PACT side, right? We saw a few rounds ago, they had a nice app setup based around that angle. So really good stuff from the T side to adapt.
Well, the T's this time give them Banana for free. They're still quite hesitant about it. I think considering how aggressive Endpoint have been in a fair few of these rounds, they're maybe a little bit hesitant, but also not wanting to give away the plan. Second smoke being expended, and still a couple more. Sobel, though, catches a cheeky little peek from Crucial. That's enough to already hand the man advantage in the other direction. Now the execution begins on the other side of the map. They're going to actually go through the smoke as it fades. The spam through. The boost almost gets a kill, but Lunatic once again opens up this side. Darku, well, clearly doesn't see the smoke as we do. Oh, I hate to say it, but this is looking like another save for Endpoint. They are being utterly dominated so far from the T side of the polls. An impressive performance. As said, they're one of the leaders within the MDL so far. It wasn't something I expected going into the season, if I'll be honest. I didn't think they would be one of the ones challenging for the top spot. In fact, they are level with Namiga at the moment. Wow. Some of the other teams like Movistar Riders not quite performing to the level we'd expect for them. Nordavind also having a few losses on the board. There's a real chance that they could be not only making playoffs, which looks almost guaranteed at this point, but maybe challenging for that prize pool as well.
Yeah, and it's strange. Inferno just took a quick little look. It's not a map that they play, so clearly been putting the work in. Maybe their CT half is going to be the other side of the coin. That's not so good for them, but if their T half is strong enough, surely you would expect them to be able to pick things up. But once again, a loose and fast round with the USPs is very nearly successful. Sobol, of course, who else to bail PACT out, will come in from behind and make sure that there's no AKs saved, no spooky spots gotten into there by the mid rushers, and it's all onto Robin. Number 2 on 2 HP. Not a chance. Might be able to save an AK here, but they're well aware of this on the PACT side. It's really good to see. They're not going anywhere. They've got a minute and 10 seconds. They're just floating around all these dropped weapons, maybe endeavoring to get them out of the map. They are indeed. So, really nice stuff. Nice and patient. Robin is not going to go anywhere near this, though. I mean, like I say, when the bomb goes down, he might go on a bit of an investigate, but for now, just going to sit on the site. So it's probably going to be quite an anticlimax again to this round. But a night for PACT nonetheless, and set up to get a 10th possibly an 11th as well, looking really likely if they keep playing like this. Endpoint still not going to have a great amount of cash to work with. Don't think they're quite onto the maximum loss bonus. Yeah, they won't.
No.
It'll be a decent amount to work with, but again, they're just constantly on the back foot, right? Constantly having to work with things against them, like whether it is the utility or whether it is someone on a MP9 or a FAMAS to facilitate said utility.
Well, yeah, I think
foothold.
The issue is as well is when they did finally win a couple of rounds, like the bomb was going down, so the T's were still making cash, and then it was like a weird back and forth, which again, like at the beginning of the map, the T's came out on top of, and because of that, financially, we've just seen Endpoint have probably one of the worst CT sides they'll ever have in terms of just pure money basis, because we've seen the AWP a couple of times, hasn't really had too much impact, in all honesty. In fact, Crucial's right at the bottom of the board for his side. And then even just with like the weaponry, there's been pieces missing, so we've had to see them take risks, get a little bit more aggressive than maybe they would have liked to when facing off on Banana. And the thing is, one thing that I want to give credit to PACT is they've been able to shut down the economy, but also they've been able to take Banana off them a lot of the time. And if they haven't been, if they've found the information elsewhere, they've done a great job of finding these entries on the A site. And it seems like everything that's being attempted at the moment by the CT side is just getting slaughtered. Crucial has to be a hero here. And, well, he gets one, but ultimately this round is still looking to go like all the others, as it's set with a retake once again. It seems like the gamble stacks every time been in the wrong place, except maybe once or twice in the pistol rounds where they've been in an awkward spot. Well, the CT side, I feel like a broken record, a mimic of myself from a few rounds ago, but just going to have to save again.
Yeah, I feel like I'd like to see, I suppose there's not really much room left in the half, but some of these gamble stacks maybe fully committed at this point with how poorly it's going. You know what I mean? Like, put 4 on B and then leave you one guy playing Arch, and then he can like back away and you can just go for a 5-man retake. Certainly would be a weird scenario. But...
I don't know about 4 on B. Like, I would, the other way around is much more common. Like, I think especially with the amount that they've been able to at least like challenge for Banana control, maybe send like 3 there early, take control. The issue is, because we haven't seen the AWP, I think we haven't been able to see a lot of the normal gamble stacks you would take, with like leaving one at the top of Banana, having a smoke, and then falling back. Like, you can't really do that if you've got an MP9 because it's just too much of a risk. But I think that's been the sort of burden for them, is that financially they've been in ruins a lot of the time. Of course, that you can argue that maybe they should have taken an extra couple of saves to make sure they get their full buy a little bit early on. But for now, they are just pretty much in these static default rounds. It seems like when they gamble stack the B site or send 3 players in that direction, PACT are very good at finding out that information, leaving players to hold off and stop rotations, and then find the entries into A. And even just on an individual basis, it hasn't been looking too good. Again, we're going to see that smoke that gives a little bit of a one-way to Thomas, but ultimately, well, I was going to say there shouldn't be much here. Lunatic, I don't know how on earth he just managed to get that kill. And I'm sure that Thomas is probably not going to be too happy about that one. Still giving his team a chance, but this man has now started to step up to the likes of Sobo. It seems to be a race to the finish of who's going to get to 20 kills. Robin there to try and deny him. They've still got so much time as well. These faster plays, they don't even need to take too many risks, but they'll face versus both players and secure their 11-4 T-side half. The Poles have looked impeccable, incredible, and pretty much destroyed any hope that I've had, but we'll have to see if Endpoint can try and recreate something of the sort, at least within a pistol round, to give themselves a chance at the comeback.
Definitely seeing some of the mental affect them there at the end. Crucial. I mean, I suppose he kind of has to go for something, but I think if he'd have just waited another second or two, he could have been joined by a teammate. He could have moved in together. He tried to push through the very end of a smoke just as it was dissipating. Worth noting, the 4 times they've played it in the past 3 months for PACT, they've had a heavy advantage on their T-side round, sorry, that they've picked up. Have only won it once out of those 4, though, so it is kind of a little hard to go with that. And I feel like at this point, they have such a lead that even if their CT side is a bit weaker, they should be able to make it work. It's going to need a massive step up from Endpoint and also PACT to make a good number of mistakes. So there's a lot working in their favor. Immediately in with the 4-man stack over on A, meanwhile, looks like it's about to be an absolute bloodbath at brackets. Is the T side going to commit in? Oh my goodness, Surreal does manage to find 2, but he can't spin around fast enough. Meanwhile, the late attendee in the form of Mighty Max will get spammed down, and only 2 players going down for PACT. A really, really nice pistol, really good read. Endpoint walks straight into it, and if that does not make them feel annoyed and frustrated and not able to catch a break, then I do not know what will.
Yeah, I think the brutal thing as well is like some of the players just seem to have fallen off a cliff. Like Max, I mentioned, I think at one point that he had a couple of good rounds near the beginning. I'm pretty sure he was 5 and 6. He's now 5 and 12. So it like hasn't been able to get anything done since the early stages where they actually managed to win a couple of rounds. And at this point, it's got to be fairly demoralizing. Obviously, within the pro players, like I'm sure their mental fortitude is slightly better than someone like me when playing within CS, but it does have to take its toll eventually, especially with some of the kills that the Poles have been able to get away with, like jumping headshots and running through smokes and getting very, very aggressive in some of their plays. Looks like they're getting punished for it this time, though. That's now a Glock kill coming up for Max, a P250 for Surreal. He may not know how close Sobel actually is around the corner. Of course, this round is more about doing damage to the CT economy, and that is already a massive success. The question is now, Scriv, is there a way they win this round?
I mean, stranger things have happened in this game. Definitely these kind of rounds that seem to get the best of both the teams. Sobel as well as position slightly given away by the drop. Nice will pick up Robin, the MP9, just going to absolutely mow them down. Thomas does get the trade in, gets a bit of extra cash, has a small bit of time to work with. Might get the drop on Darku, not going to be the case though. He's not facing him in time. And the flank is successful. PACT will get their 13th on the board. A little bit closer than they would have liked, I suppose, particularly against the buy that Endpoint had. But with how far ahead they are, I think they can afford, maybe not financially, but in terms of, you know, the actual rounds themselves, they can afford to drop a couple of mistakes. I should have just said drop the ball, but drop a couple of balls sounds a bit weird.
Yeah.
But I said it in the end, so I might as well have just gone with it.
What? See, I don't know about you, but to me that looked like Thomas was standing in the smoke and burning.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know if maybe it was just the angle that he was being clipped from, but that doesn't look like it makes any sense. Surreal though, a nice opener. This gives him a real chance. Maniz, how does he get that timing so spot on? He's only got 19 HP. Mighty Max is going to look to pressure him as well, and he wins the second battle. This is ridiculous. Maniz now stepping up to the plate as well. It's been a out-and-out fantastic performance, but I really didn't think PACT needed an extra man to come online as well. But this 3K has pretty much put this game to bed. A round where, well, we give them praise for how much they managed to do with the pistols. The fact is they did even less with the rifles. And now, well, they've got to go back to those pistols once again. But this time, the CTs are going to have pretty much as good a buy as you can get. As you've got the AKs, you've got the rifles, you've got full utility, pretty much everything they could ever desire. Oh, and, you know, a 10-round lead.
Yeah, always nice. And it looks like they might just get themselves an 11-round lead here with Endpoint. Going for the safe buy on the pistols, bit of utility to work with, but losing the first man already. But yeah, it definitely seems like there has been different players at different stages of the game stepping up. Great little flash there, not quite able to capitalize, unfortunately. So Lunatic will get away initially. He takes the fight, however, and it does eventually cost him his life. And his AK, which Thomas has now gotten his hands onto. Does have the armor to boot here. It's still a man advantage for PACT. Let's start to wrap around to the A side of things, where Crucial has pushed up in the apartments. I mean, it's not a great deal of control to work with. He's going to get spotted out as well. Tagged down pretty low and finished off by Sobol, who hits his 20th frag. Beautiful stuff. Now the trade attempt going to come in at long. Does work out. A lot of damage taken by Thomas, though, and he's still got 3 more to find. Plenty of time to work with. Does have the bomb. They're savvy to it, though. I love that from PACT. They're like, oh, he could go sidewalk. Let's not give him any chance at all. So really just trying to shut things down here and let him come to them. Smart play from PACT. And Thomas, unfortunately, now has nothing to work with. Can't really catch anyone off guard. Sobol as well has abandoned the A bomb site. They're cool to let the bomb go down because they have so many rounds to work with. They don't really care if they have money on that T side or not.
Again, this pistol round has definitely got interesting, but no time really left for Thomas, and Sobol just calm and collected. 15 and 4. This is it for Endpoint. They need an 11-round streak. They'll at least get themselves a last hurrah purchase. The AWP onto Crucial, full rifles as well. The CT side are going to pick one up themselves, and we'll see if they're going to need that counter at least initially. Even still, though, I feel like PACT are going to be filled with so much confidence. We might even see a slight bit more aggression than we would normally. Again, the challenge for Banana ensues as Max has managed to get some deep control. Surreal as well. Okay, free kill. Easy as it gets. Like, I don't know what's happened there. Seems like Mani's maybe not expecting anybody to be there so soon. It might be because Goofy's pushed all the way down mid. Again, I said they've got confidence at this point, so they might get a little bit crazy, but that is a little bit further than I was expecting.
Real looking good, though. Pulling off some individual plays. Going to get caught eventually. That is unfortunate for him. But still, this is the closest round they've had in quite some time. Lunatic through the smoke, going to take down Max. He's so mad. He gets his smoke off, and just as he throws the flash around the corner, taken down through the smoke. Quick little boost up coming in here. Thomas will respond. Pretty sharp stuff from him as he brings it back down into a 2 versus 2. The nade doing an awful lot of damage from Lunatic. The flash not blinding anybody, apart from himself, apparently. I don't think he was fully blinded, but all the same, Goofy going to be the only one left. Gets a smoke in to give him a bit of control. Going to try and work his way up the boost, and I think he might just successfully, but Thomas is ready. An Endpoint. There you have it. They get their 5th round on the board. They are capable. They can get rounds. Unfortunately, they've got to get a hell of a lot more. And I don't think we believe just yet in the comeback.
No. Well, they lost 9 in a row before that one. So, yeah, my belief is definitely not there just yet. But the CTs are going to invest into this one. It's not a particularly good buy, but at the same time, they've had the individual players to drag them through plenty of rounds. Even that one was a little bit too close for comfort, even after some freebie kills came up for Surreal in the early stages. He did well probing, lurking over onto that A site, while the rest of the team again looked to challenge for Banana. This round is a lot more passive as well. There's still a reasonable amount of utility available for the CT side to play with. Crucial over the top. Spots the nade, and the timing couldn't be better. Darku actually only shows himself for a second. Still almost gets the kill onto Max, and with that kill, it will actually bait a rotation. It's going to pull Maniz off to try and support the lone teammate of Lunatic, who actually doesn't have any utility remaining, so it will need some sort of smoke for the cross. Nade going through could actually kill off Max, but not quite. It just does a little bit of damage to the remaining players, and well, the T's have now managed to gain that control.
Yeah, definitely capable. Could have been a bit of a different story, I suppose, if they'd have started on the T side. And an immediate call to save here from PACT. So really not giving them anything to work with. They had a bit of a crazy one in the previous round with pushes down mid and whatnot, but into this round, no more Mr. Nice Guy. They are not giving any room across to Endpoint, any more than they need to, I guess, right? You know, it's going to be a 6th round here, but immediately straight back in with the buy in the next round for PACT. So yeah, Endpoint are going to have no space, no time to clear their thoughts, clear their heads, just immediately straight back into the same kind of intense full of pressure mindset in the next round.
Well, they're still going to play this one relatively safe. Just a few nades invested again, but ultimately Darku's not really going to be able to buy anything. Loss bonus actually only at 2,400 as well, so the purchase into the next round wouldn't be great. Crucial. This is aggressive, but I like it. At this point, they have to take risks. Very far behind in the match, even with the couple of round wins they've managed to achieve. So, worthwhile trade. Sobel actually tagged as well, and Surreal, he's been here time and time again. I think he spotted the pixel of Sobel rounding the corner, so a fairly simplistic kill. And I think he spotted Goofy as well, so knows that there's another man close. She's going to utilize the smoke to gain him some ground above, can clear a couple of angles. And Goofy, this is an interesting angle. It's not one that you will really see too often in Counter-Strike, using the little wood pallet actually staying in the smoke, and it takes a fair amount of damage to kill him off, but at the same time, they've done it and they've got the site.
Yeah, definitely looking good in these past few rounds. It is a shame that so often for teams it can come towards the end of a game where I think, especially when it's been a blowout like this, the pressure is somewhat off. And they perhaps think a little less about what they're doing, play more instinctively. It definitely does have an effect. But yeah, might see Darku go for something. Not going to get too aggressive. There's a few weapons, but he knows they're being watched. One might blast his way, though. A couple kills in middle with the bomb going off. He's going to manage to creep in here, actually, and grab himself an AK. So, not a bad result in that sense. Thomas just dies to the bomb. Unlucky. Miscalculating it. Got in the corner, and he was like, "Do I live here, guys?" And they've no, I don't think so, mate. You probably should have run off. But I suppose at the very least it denies a weapon away from a potential weapon anyway. He gets one, so it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme. And they've got money to buy up. So it's all good. It's just a bit funny, really.
Right, this is, once again, back on the 4x for the Pols. Taking them a bit of time. Still no AWP yet for Maniz, but well, he did actually have the extra cash to buy into one, so maybe a conscious decision. The nade damage in both directions. Lunatic left on 21, but it's his counterparts on the T side who have taken a further brunt from these grenades. Again, it seems like there's temptation from the top of mid players to try and get a little bit more aggressive. A bit of a pixel angle being utilized by Lunatic as well. Less of a chance to be headshotted, but still gives all the information he would have got anyway. With a minute left on the clock, the T's will go back and retrieve the bomb. It's looking like they're planning a hit into this A site, and it is currently the lesser defended of the two. A pit position for Sobel, and Maniz waiting patiently around Arch, but the rotation has come back in from Goofy to help support. The flashbangs are available to give him a peek, but he actually just takes it anyway and probably doesn't realize that there's currently 3 players hiding in the smoke he expended. 30-odd seconds as Mighty Max gets the entry. Thomas finds another, and now, well, Sobel, he needs to be a hero once again.
He's used to it by now. Manages the first. You know where he's at in the pit. He will actually get a second before falling there, which is kind of criminal in and of itself. Unfortunately, it's not quite enough to sway things in favor of the CT side, with Lunatic being low here as well. Not sure that they want to go for this. Darku kind of does, but yeah, they kind of just get to a point where it's like, okay, I've not seen anyone. No one's peeked into me. No free kill. Let's just go and save. So Endpoint definitely looking good here towards the end and just kind of regaining a little bit of control that they'd lost in this game. So it's got to feel good towards the end. If it were a best of 3, we'd talk all about momentum and confidence and map picks, but with it being the best of 1, unfortunately doesn't make a big difference. I suppose round difference, which might affect things towards the end of the season, but Other than that, not a great deal.
Well, the CT's in a bit of a weird position, actually. They've got a reasonable amount of money, but they're still looking to play this safe for now. Understandably so. Maximum loss bonus will be in. They can get an orb. They can get a few, in fact, in the next round if they truly desire. But instead, just going to talk things over, try and slow the momentum a little bit, because it's definitely not out of the possibility that Endpoint will be able to bring this back. They've definitely got the players that once the confidence gets rolling, the individual skill starts to shine. And with Crucial taking some of those fights, Surreal lurking quite well, and Thomas still just chugging along up to 17 kills now. Actually the second highest in the server, which, considering the scoreline, is quite surprising, but a very long way to go. And even a round like this could easily slip away, especially with some of the, well, just incredible plays we've seen so far from the Polish side. Nonetheless, CT is going to try and stack up onto that B site, at least for the initial stages. You can see the T's just waiting patiently to avoid any of that early utility, knowing that Banana's going to be bombarded with grenades the majority of the time. Although, interestingly, there's still 3 HEs ready and waiting. So maybe there's a plan here for the CT side.
Possibly. Not an early plan, clearly, as they are holding on to them, so... But... they have 3 of the 4 in on the A side of things. Big nade damage onto Robin. That's the first. I think a second's just been dropped. Didn't really do as much. Lunatic, meanwhile, up on the boost. He does get one, but traded back pretty quickly by Max. And now into a 4-on-4. I suppose the joy of the boost is the fact that Manice did not have a rifle, and now he does. So there is that, but the 1-for-1 normally working out for the T side of things. Not as much in a round like this. They've sort of conceded defense on the B-bomb site anyway, so it's like the A site is now down to a normal level defense. Ooh, unless the rotation comes in and Manice is a bit unsure. Which way do I go? 25 seconds left, though. This could be a bit messy. Comes in at the right time. Snowball's already found a frag as well. Dink for dink. It is Max to come out on top, of course, with that AK in hand, but left very, very low. Sobol coming in with another dig. Shots and Darku to find the final frag. That will be all she wrote. Was only a matter of time, I think, before Endpoint faltered and let it slip.